important is this day for the State Department for Livestock?
This day is extremely important for us, but I also just want to mention that food safety doesn't happen on World Food Safety Day or World Food Safety Week. Food safety for us is an everyday affair, and it's everybody's business. So it's not just the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development that focuses on food safety. Food safety is really a responsibility for everybody, from production to value addition to transportation to handling and logistics and to market. It's really just about making sure that food is safe for consumption. We need food safety, Michelle, and it's very important for us not just to ensure that we protect human health, but also for trade. So we look at food safety from those two aspects. One, to make sure that the food we eat as humans is healthy and nutritious, doesn't make us sick, but also we focus on food safety and put in many regulations and enforce those regulations so that we can ensure that we can do trade with our food, food of both from crops origin and food from animal origin. The
theme for this year's World Food Safety Day underlines the importance of being prepared for food safety incidents. Are Kenyans prepared for food safety incidents? And that begins with awareness on how to handle food, especially when it comes to meat products, where they come from, the value chain of production. How far are we with ensuring safety in the entire value chain?
I think this theme really talks to what's been going on in our world, especially because of the shocks we've been receiving due to climate change issues. This theme was actually even coined before the recent floods. And while we prepared for the floods in terms of food safety, we know we lost a lot of crops, we might have lost a lot of animals. Some of our crops, when they are prone to the flooding, what happens is they get aflatoxin, like in maize and all of that, which can also pass through animals, through animal feed, and then to humans again. And it has adverse effects to our health and, of course, to our trade. So we really are trying now to create the awareness so that our people can be conscious and be ready, be resilient to shocks like floods, like droughts, and ensure that food safety is an everyday thing and everybody is aware that they are responsible for food safety, be it the farmer who's producing the food or keeping the animals, to the person who's cooking it to sell it to you in a restaurant or in a kibanda, to the person who's handling it during transit or logistics. For example, milk. You need milk to be chilled, and if it's not chilled, then it has bacteria counts and it becomes bad for human consumption. So food safety really is everybody along that value chain must be aware about how to handle food and about the importance of food safety so that we can protect the entire system, the entire food system. Otherwise, we won't be doing what we need to do to keep our food safe.
Absolutely. And awareness is one thing. But let's talk regulation, because then managing food safety incidents needs dedicated efforts from policymakers. Not too long ago, we had media reports of contaminated meat being sold in major supermarket chains, contaminated milk in other instances. Where does regulation draw the line? Do we have enough regulation to regulate the entire value chain in the food distribution?
We do have good enough regulation, but the world keeps changing, and we keep changing as the world changes. So right now, of course, we have the Kenya Bureau of Standards that is able to set the standards, and you've seen them enforce the standards on food safety. We have the Animal Health Bill that also keeps the same. But what is now happening and the changes that we are seeing in the world is not just having food safety in specific silos or specific institutions. What is coming out is that for us to ensure our food is safe, it must be done in a coordinated manner, which means that very many actors amongst different institutions within government and private sector need to coordinate. So with that, the government of Kenya has not been left behind. We've got together with the Ministry of Fisheries because of the fish, with Ministry of Health, with Ministry of Environment, through a One Health approach. And we've come up jointly with what we are calling the Food and Feed Safety Control Coordination Bill. This bill does one thing that is of significant change. It moves the responsibility of food safety to the food business operator, the person who's actually selling the food, be it the retailer, be it the mama mboga, be it the person in the kibanda. The food safety now shifts to them, not to government to make sure food is safe, not to the farmer, but to them. Why are we doing that? Because we understand all of this comes through trade, and if the person who's selling for you food in that hotel can ensure that the food he's selling is safe, can ensure that the suppliers of the raw materials before they cook the food is safe, then it will go down all the way through the supply chain to the producer, where the producer understands, or the farmer understands, if I don't produce safe food, it's not going to be bought by anybody. So that's the significant change within that. And then also we want to coordinate across all institutions so that we also don't overburden the food safety, the food business operator. We don't overburden them with overregulation. You know, today the health inspector has gone to check if their food is safe. Tomorrow the meat inspector has gone. Tomorrow somebody from KEBS has gone. The other day somebody from the Director of Veterinary Services has gone. Then you weigh down the business. So what we are saying is, why can't we do a one government approach so that if the meat inspector goes there, they know that they need to check the standards, so KEBS doesn't have to go there tomorrow. They need to check the cleanliness or food safety, so that Ministry of Health doesn't go there tomorrow, or the public health officials don't have to go there tomorrow. That way we just coordinate the entire food system and ensure that our consumers get.
Not too long ago, K24 ran a feature, an expose really, on the trade of donkey meat and how it finds its way into Kenya. And there's been a multi-agency team that had been tasked to identify hotspots for illegal slaughter of livestock. But there continues to be concerns about consumption of, among others, donkey meat within Kenya, despite the government having banned the slaughter of donkeys in 2020. So again, while you shift the responsibility to the vendors and to Kenyans at large, there still remains a gap in regulation to ensure that essentially what Kenyans are buying is meat allowed for consumption.
We all understand that government cannot be there 24 hours a day, 365 days. We will not be there at 4 o'clock in the morning, for example, when somebody has slaughtered in a remote part of their village and put it in an identified car in the boot and find it straight to Nairobi. But the slaughterhouse that is buying that meat has a way, and they are trained to identify, one, has this meat been inspected by a veterinary officer where it was slaughtered, or was it slaughtered illegally? Because all legal slaughter is inspected by a meat inspector from the Directorate of the Veterinary Services. Number two, they have a way of telling, is this beef, is this goat, or is this donkey? Yeah. So as they are buying the meat in the butchery, they should be able to catch that food safety concern at that point and then report to the authorities. So it is not that we are shifting responsibility as government. What we are saying is we are looking for the most efficient way to make sure that food is safe for human consumption and that it doesn't affect our trade as a country, both domestic trade and external trade, because nobody is going to buy our livestock products or any of our food if they are not sure they can trace it to the farm and vouch for its safety for human consumption. So what we are doing is we are now looking at a more inclusive approach and the most efficient way to ensure that we coordinate matters food safety. That being said, you are absolutely right, the government has a responsibility to enforce and to bring to book the people who are breaking the law. Illegal slaughter is against the law. We have come together as a multi-agency team, which is the State Department of Livestock in the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development, the Ministry of Internal Security through the State Department of Internal Security and National Administration, and the counties have come together, and we are currently running a rapid results initiative, an 100-day RRI, in which PS Omolo from Internal Security and myself launched sometime in April. And what this RRI is doing is we have put everybody on high alert, specifically from the grassroots, which is the county directors of veterinary services, to be able to catch illegal slaughter, to be able to mount roadblocks and randomly search for vehicles that are carrying meat, and ask for movement permits, ask for inspection permits from meat inspectors. And indeed, that RRI has yielded some reports. I think you've seen yourselves in the media have reported that people have been caught slaughtering donkeys in the forest. People have been caught transporting donkey meat, and they've been arrested and brought to book. So that creates a deterrent, but it is not enough to completely stop the illegal slaughter. We need every hand on deck for us to be able to ensure there's heightened surveillance, there's reporting where the law has been broken, and then government can come in and do that. This RRI also, you know, is in two parts. There's the enforcement part to make sure that people are not breaking the law, but there's also the awareness part where we are using the national government organization through the chiefs and the sub-chiefs all the way up, and the county governments, because they also have their structures, to go out and sensitize our citizens on, you know, what is safe food, how does donkey meat look like, how do you differentiate it, what to do when your donkey gets stolen, because that's where it starts.
Right. Outside of meat, I mean, there's other dairy, other products coming out of the livestock sector, including dairy, and there's been concerns over the quality of milk that is circulating in the country as well. What reforms, because when you took over the livestock docket, you had an ambitious plan to revolutionize livestock farming, ensure that farmers get value for money through many other things, value addition. And so we've seen a lot more, you know, milk in the supermarket shelves, a lot more smallholder farmers getting their products at the supermarket shelves. But what is the safety standard of the milk that Kenyans are consuming today?
The regulator for milk is the Kenya Dairy Board, which is a state corporation under the State Department of Livestock here in the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development. They are very efficient. They've got a surveillance system from around the country that operates around the country. They have labs that are able to test milk, and they have capacity building programs in which we have farmers' field days actually almost every month. The next one just being next week on Friday at Meru Central Dairy Cooperatives, where we go and sensitize the farmers on how to ensure that their milk is safe, has low as possible bacteria content, has no aflatoxin, which comes in through the animal feed. So we've done a lot of sensitization to farmers on the same. We also do enforcement. We've had our processors reject a lot of milk from farmers that don't meet the standard for human consumption. So we have done a lot of work on that, and I can tell you, I get monthly reports. There's tremendous success in our milk safety program. That notwithstanding, we've partnered with biofoods, with funding from the USAID, and you saw a few months ago, we announced a Safe Milk campaign. So we are working again with the private sector through a stakeholder engagement to ensure that we can tell all consumers what to do to ensure that they also know what unsafe milk is. Again, it's always a demand and supply thing. So if the consumer knows not to buy bad milk, the people who are selling bad milk are going to up their quality. So we want now to move from capacity building the farmers, the cooperatives, the processors, now to really make the consumers aware so that they can understand and demand for safe milk from all their retailers. The Dairy Act, which we currently have governing the dairy sector, is an act from 1957. So we've agreed with the industry, and the industry have actually been very progressive in helping us update that act. So we're actually calling it an industry bill, because we asked the industry guys, how do you want your dairy sector to look like? So we put together farmers and everybody across the value chain, and they've developed what we are calling the Dairy Bill 2024. This bill has gotten to a place where we have now put it together. We are waiting to do the validation sometime week after next, in 2 weeks, we'll be having a dairy conference that will be chaired by the Deputy President, in which dairy reform is under his docket, and we will meet in Nakuru as all stakeholders in the dairy conference, where amongst other things, as we are putting our heads together on how to grow the dairy sector and ensure that we grow it as a value chain, which is a priority value chain under our bottom-up economic transformation agenda. We will also be validating the dairy bill, after which we will go take it to cabinet. Once it's approved in cabinet, go to parliament, and it is my hope that by the end of this year we will have new legislation that will govern the dairy sector. Now, Michelle, what is different and exciting about this new dairy bill is we are shifting, complete paradigm shift in the way we are marketing our milk. So right now, we buy in quantity. So we pay the farmer for the amount of quantity of milk that they produce. That has given us some challenges. Sometimes there's adulteration of the milk, where people add water to reduce the density so that they can get more per liter, more liters, so they can get more shillings for their milk. And two, it negates our ability to value add. Because for us to be able to make value add dairy products, such as chocolate or butter or even milk powder, cheese, we need high quality milk. So we are following the world best practice, moving from quantity-based payment, where we pay depending on how much milk you have, to quality-based payment, where we are now going to be looking at what is the protein level, what is the butter fat content, what is the solid non-fat content of your milk. And if you have higher quality milk, we pay you higher shilling for your milk. We've done studies and benchmarked around the world, particularly with India, which is the largest producer of milk in the world. And we've seen that it is a great incentive for farmers to up the quality of their milk, because you get 2, 3, 4 shillings more per liter if you give us higher quality milk. And that serves two purposes: the food safety purpose, and two, it gives us a chance to now value add and produce high value milk products like cheese and so on for local consumption and also for export, which of course creates jobs and helps our manufacturing.
That's a great initiative altogether, because then dairy farmers get more value for money. But
Correct.
Part of the efforts in getting good quality end product then begins from, you know, animal feed, fodder farming, complete plus innovation and technology for storage facilities, among others. In terms of technology and innovation, what has the government done, or how has the government helped bolster the dairy sector?
When we are looking at now just the sector in general, which is livestock, the government has prioritized 3 value chains under the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. 1 is dairy, 2 is leather, and 3 is red meat. So our focus is to develop those value chains as a low-hanging fruit for maximum contribution into our GDP and for creation of jobs, to produce and to export. So we have several interventions for all those 3 industries, priority value chains. The first one is the genetics. For us to be able to up our game in production and productivity, we must keep the right breeds. We understand the climatic conditions of our country. We need breeds that are hardy, that can withstand a drought, breeds that are disease resistant for some of the diseases that are common in this country, and breeds that can produce maximum production within our production systems, be it intensive or extensive production system. So we are running a national breed improvement program in conjunction with the counties, where we have had our researchers, both in academia and research institutions, come together with the staff here at State Department of Livestock and come up with a plan on which part of the country needs which breed for which product, be it for leather, for dairy, for beef, and so on. So that's complete. We have a delivery model. We'll be rolling that out soon. The second intervention is, of course, on animal health. A sick animal cannot give you a quality product. So to ensure, again, we up our productivity and our production, we have to make sure that our cattle, our goats, our sheep are vaccinated. So we are running, again, a national vaccination program in conjunction with the counties. We've met with the county leadership, and we've agreed on a delivery model where we are going to be moving as a country to eradicate foot and mouth disease and the PPR disease in the goats and the sheep. So we will be vaccinating 22 million cattle and over 50 million goats and sheep. That's going to give the entire world confidence that livestock products coming from Kenya are safe. So it will increase our trade significantly and also take care of our food security, food nutrition, food safety issues within the country. So a lot of reform is going on in that place. Last but not least, the other intervention is on the feed, animal feed, like you're saying. Are we making sure that our feed is available, that it's affordable, that it is safe for animal consumption, i.e. it doesn't have aflatoxin? So we also have a feed and fodder consultancy that's currently ongoing so that we can get a delivery model to ensure that we have adequate feed for our animals. We do have a project called Drive, in which one of the components is de-risking the private sector to encourage farmers to plant fodder and animal forage and pasture so that we can now make animal feed. And we are doing this at a large scale where we'll be funding our funders, however much money they need, up to 1 billion shillings, minimum of 2 million shillings, long-term loans of 10 years, almost half the interest rates, so single-digit interest rates, and with a lead period, so that they don't have to start paying interest immediately.
Okay. It is estimated that Kenya lost over 2.5 million livestock in the last drought cycle that ended in the year 2022. And this caused massive economic losses to households, especially in pastoral communities. What efforts have been put in place to build resilience of these communities to disasters such as climate change, drought, and floods that we've seen recently?
We're building resilience through a project called Drive. Drive is de-risking investments and value addition and value enhancement. It has 3 components. The first component is ensuring that we build that resilience within our pastoral areas. It's in 23 arid and semi-arid counties. We've had tremendous success with that program. Component 1 is around livestock insurance. So it's an index-based insurance program where we are going out and telling our pastoralists, listen, we know our drought is coming. We will subsidize insurance. We will enable you to save some money. So financial inclusion right from the bottom of the pyramid, so that when the drought comes, you have some money to be able to feed your livestock. And in the event that your livestock is at risk of dying, then we will give you a claim to ensure that you can keep your animal alive. So this insurance program is not to pay or to restock dead animals. It's to make sure that our pastoralists don't lose their animals in the first place. This project has been very welcome by our pastoralists. We had targeted to do 25,000, insure 25,000 pastoralists a year. We are in year 2. So against a target of 50,000 pastoralists, we've already insured 138,000 pastoralists. So tremendous progress. We have already issued over 2 billion shillings in claims so that our pastoralists can keep their animals alive. And we have a saving bonus program within the same, which ensures that our pastoralists, 1, get into the financial system where they can access credit for their inputs and so on, but 2, also to be able to plant their own fodder at small scale and store it in readiness for a drought. So it's really building resilience. Second way of building resilience, Michelle, really is to ensure that we sell our animals when they are ready for sale. So for example, cows would mature for sale between 18 months, a year and a half, all the way to about 3 years. So why would we have our pastoralists keep a cow for 8 or 9 years? Because after 3 years, it stops becoming valuable to you. It stops becoming an investment to you. It becomes a liability because it won't grow any much longer, but you will have to keep investing in feeding it. So you're feeding an animal that's not going to be giving you productivity. Yeah, so it doesn't make sense. So we are trying to tell our pastoralists, listen, why don't we give you a link to market, because there's huge market for our meat,
right.
both locally
Where's the market?
and globally. Huge market. We produce very quality meat. We've done a route to market study, and we've seen, especially around the Middle East, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Kuwait, Iran, they're really importing a lot of our meat, and they're complaining that we are not supplying them enough. So we are telling our pastoralists, why don't we help you the right breeds, the right feed, we vaccinate your animals, get them ready to market, get you access to the market through offtake agreements. When your animals get to a certain age, 8 months for a goat or a sheep, 2 years for a cow, why don't you offtake it, get the maximum value for it, then reinvest that money into buying new animals for your herd that you can grow.
Right. The acceleration of red meat formalization through all these incentives like feedlots, farmer-owned cooperative aggregation, how has this contributed to Kenya's productivity and competitiveness in the meat sector?
We've now just begun to build feedlots. We finished one feedlot in Mogoshio called Chemongoch. We are just about to finish one in Meru, in Kibiru, in Tigania West. We are building one in Wajir, which we just started maybe about a month ago. And we are doing those as pilots to ensure that we're able to aggregate all the livestock from the villages, from the households to the villages, to the ward level, so the feedlots at the ward level. And then now our livestock keepers can offtake those animals to the feedlots. And inside the feedlots, we will have water, they will be fenced, we will have paddocks. And what we'll do in those feedlots is what we call in the livestock industry finishing and fattening, getting the animals ready for the market, for slaughter. So we will take them, we feed them, we give them enough nutrients, we make sure they are disease-free, we add the weight so that we can get maximum value for them, and then we take them into the market for slaughter and either now go to the consumer, either locally or abroad. So this is something that we want to do in 30 counties. We aim to build 450 feedlots. We've already designed the product. We are now into, or the program, we are now doing the pilots in these 3 feedlots we told you. And we think it's going to be a big game changer. Our initial projections on the same is that out of the 18,000 metric tons of meat we produce right now, through these feedlots, we are going to up that up almost 7-fold to 108,000 metric tons, injecting an additional 54 billion shillings into the GDP of this country, into the economy of this country. So it's a complete game changer, and this itself would play a very big part in our economic transformation, just by creating wealth, creating jobs, and ensuring that we create that economic activity or commercialize our livestock sector. So very exciting times for our sector.
Just going back to World Food Safety Day, these are great initiatives, but how can small-scale farmers, small-scale dairy farmers, livestock farmers get in on some of these projects? How do they access these loans, the Dewey Scheme project? Is it only based on certain areas, you know, say ESOL areas? What about a livestock farmer in, you know, Uasin Gishu? How does it work, and how can Kenyan farmers access these incentives?
So we've come up with a very innovative strategy to ensure that we commercialize agriculture, not just livestock, both crops and agriculture. On the agriculture side, you saw during the Madaraka Day, which focused on agriculture and food security, that His Excellency the President was able to launch 18,000 agripreneurs. These are not just extension workers. These are entrepreneurs, young, knowledgeable, trained agripreneurs whose job is to go and ensure that we increase our production and productivity by ensuring that interventions of how do you apply fertilizer, how do you ensure that you protect against pests, how do you harvest, how do you mitigate against food losses, post-harvest food losses, how do you link to the market, and this agripreneur will be paid based on their productivity. So if you are currently doing 15 bags of maize per acre. And you have been able to increase that to 35 bags per acre because of these interventions that you have put in, you know, fertilizer and crop husbandry and all of that. Then all of a sudden, this entrepreneur or agripreneur is being paid a commission, which is part of a sale per bag. So the more bags they produce, the more money they make. So it's now up to their imagination where they can make as much money as they want to. Complete game changer. They go and identify the farmer, they capacity build the farmer, they hold the farmer's hands throughout the entire production side of it, link the farmer to inputs such as pesticides and so on, and then link the farmer to the market. So higher productivity, higher commission for the agripreneur. On the livestock side, we've not been left behind. What we are having is veterinary health professionals, which are veterinary surgeons, and animal health assistants. Veterinary surgeons, 1 per ward, so 1,450 of them. And animal health assistants, we're going to have 4 per ward, so almost 6,000 of them. And what these are going to do again, all of them are going to be attached to farmers, and each is going to be responsible for a certain number of cattle. And their job is to make sure the breeding is done properly, the feeding is done properly, this cattle is vaccinated, this cattle is registered through our livestock identification and traceability system, which now creates a digital ID for livestock. And that helps with traceability all the way from farm to fork. So it's a very, very exciting program that we are running. And with that, we should be able to recruit the farmers, put them in cooperatives, aggregate them, and ensure that their productivity goes through the roof.
Tens or hundreds, would I say, of livestock farmers who have lost their investment and been disenfranchised in the Rift Valley, in northeastern and other parts of the country through increasing livestock theft. And this is linked to cattle rustling as well. And part of the reason that we've seen issues like livestock theft and cattle rustling is the fight for resources, very limited resources in these areas. How has the DRIVE project contributed in the fight against cattle rustling in these arid and semi-arid areas?
The DRIVE Forest program, first of all, just allows us to find the livestock owners, insure them, and give them access to a market. So it kind of now formalizes cattle keeping or livestock keeping out in the arid and semi-arid areas. But the DRIVE project has also enabled us through funding to develop what we are calling a livestock identification and traceability system, which is currently underway. We are in the middle of the tendering process. We believe in another month or so we should have found the appropriate vendor to run this process. And in another 2 months or so, we should be able to launch this very, very important product for us. It serves 2 purposes. One, because it identifies and is able to trace all animals, and it identifies your animal through registration, but also through an ear tag, an electronic ear tag that has all the information of that animal. It gives your animal a digital ID. When was this animal born? How has it fed? Was it vaccinated? Has it been inseminated? Has it given birth? When did it calve? And all of that. So it just creates really a history of this animal, which means that when the animal goes to market, whoever is buying the animal knows exactly what they are buying, and that way they will pay premium for it if that animal has good records. 2, because again of the tagging and because of the traceability, it will reduce or eradicate cattle rustling. Everybody will know this cow belongs to this person. What encourages cattle rustling? It's market. Yeah. So you go, you steal somebody's cow, you slaughter it, and you sell it to a butchery, an unsuspecting butchery. Now, with the livestock identification and traceability system regulations, no slaughterhouse will be able to accept a cow or a goat or a sheep that is not tagged. And they should be able to report to the County Director of Veterinary Services every single slaughter that has happened. So now if you go and steal somebody's cow, first of all, because of traceability, we can track you because of the electronic ear tag. But even if you escape the tracking by some very unlikely way, where will you take the animal? Because you can't take it to slaughter, to the butchery. It will not be accepted. So we are going to be fixing cattle rustling through the use of technology.
All right. And that's a great initiative. But when you ask where they go, then the media has been reporting of increased cases of illegal trafficking of other animal products, including animal skin. This is alongside other illegal wildlife trade. And so while we regulate, the livestock sector and, of course, great initiatives that will curb even cattle rustling, if the cattle products or the animal products are not coming to the Kenyan market, then they seem to be getting out of the market, out of the country illegally. What efforts have been put in place to stop the cross-border illegal trade of animal products?
We are working with cross-border issues or transboundary issues through IGAD, which is a community of about 6 countries, which are neighboring countries, primarily pastoral countries. And actually, just this afternoon, the Prime Cabinet Secretary will be signing what we are calling the IGAD Transhumance Accord, that ensures all our countries have the same laws with transboundary issues with livestock. So how does Kenyan livestock be treated when it crosses over to our neighboring country and all of that? So that has been thought out. The 6 countries have come together. We've come up with what we are calling a transhumance protocol that's being signed by the Prime Cabinet Secretary, actually, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs, actually this afternoon. So we are working as a region, as Horn of Africa, to ensure that we deal with transboundary issues with our livestock. And also, we curb transboundary diseases where our cattle can cross borders and go and infect cattle of a different country. So with that agreement, different countries now will be speaking from the same page in terms of governance or enforcement of law with transboundary issues of livestock. And that should be able to solve the issue of illegal livestock export and import.
When you talk about increasing the contribution of the agriculture sector to the GDP, and we speak about livestock, what emerging markets, what emerging frontiers are currently taking root in the country? We've seen beekeeping especially taking root, but what else is the ministry promoting?
There's about 12 value chains within the livestock sector. Our priority value chains, those ones that as Principal Secretary I look at every morning when I come in, the first thing is leather, red meat and dairy, and we've made tremendous progress in all of those. We have very clear targets on where we want to go, both in terms of production and in terms of export or trade in general. In leather, especially value addition, where we just don't want to export raw hides and skins anymore. We want to export finished leather goods. We want to export shoes and belts and bags and jackets. Yeah, so we are headed towards that. We are working very closely with Kenya Association of Manufacturers and the leather tanneries and manufacturers to make sure that all our policies are good for their trade or good for industry. So tremendous effort on that. Apart from that, we've seen lots of opportunity in pig farming, so we are going to be promoting that, starting with the breeding. There's been quite demand for pig or swine, poultry, of course, which we've been having challenges in high cost of feed, but with our feed program we'll bring that down, and poultry is very good for household farming. So again, bottom-up economic transformation agenda. Poultry is right there. We've been promoting rabbit farming, which of course rabbit waste is very good for fertilizer and so on and so forth. We've been promoting also beekeeping, apiculture and honey. We've got lots of potential. My home area, Kitui, is the largest producer of honey in this country. So we've been helping our young people, our women groups with beehives, and also with capacity building on how it is they can produce honey productively, make sure that they're producing quality honey in the quantities that the market demands. So there's several value chains that we are really promoting. we've seen quite some interest from around the world for camel milk, for example. So now we are working in the ASAL areas to increase dairy. Camel milk has a lot of health benefits, and so a lot of consumers around the world are beginning to demand for camel milk, which again would transform the northern frontier of our country, especially empower the women in the arid areas financially who keep camels. So the KCC plant in Kiganjo is now powdering camel milk, and we're exporting to areas like China and other places where that demand is. So quite some work is going on in several industries or value chains under the livestock sector. So
I'd like us to wind up, but I'd like to put you on the spot on a conversation currently happening. Kenyans are giving their views on the Finance Bill of 2024 with specific focus on the agriculture sector and even more specifically in the livestock sector. What are your thoughts on this bill?
I think the bill is really talking to the government's agenda of economic transformation. The bill has looked at areas in which we can distribute the tax burden, and that's why you're seeing a lot of people are really complaining that there are new taxes. Some of these really are not new taxes per se. We're just saying there's a small part of our country, particularly the salaried people, who have bared the tax burden on behalf of everybody else. So almost just 3 or so million people out of the 19 million Kenyans are the ones who pay tax consistently. And yet we have to provide services for all 53 million Kenyans. So if you look at our manifesto as Kenya Kwanza, one of the key things was to ensure that we widen the tax base so that everybody pays their fair share, and once their fair share has been paid, then we can be able to develop the country, reduce our debt appetite, because now we'll have collected enough money to really be self-sufficient as a country. Other things is like the new universal healthcare that's coming up. With the universal healthcare, we've had a problem, and Kenyans complained during the campaigns, and they told our presidential candidate then, who's now our president, President Ruto, that listen, hospital bills are burdening us. We are selling our shambas, we are selling our livestock, we are losing our livelihoods because of hospital bills. The middle class told the president that, listen, yes, we might be middle class and we might have some disposable income, but we are one illness away from poverty. Once I go to hospital, a family member goes to hospital, and you get a bill of 2 million shillings, you are now poor when you are a person of means. And that's why the universal health care is of great importance, where we are saying, listen, let everybody pay social health insurance fund. You pay based on your income. So some people like us who pay higher income, let's pay some more money. And the people who have nothing, the government will pay for them, meaning that the people who paid more will pay for the people who paid less. And what will that ensure? It will ensure that there's no Kenyan who will get a disease, be it cancer, be it diabetes, be it malaria, and go to hospital and not get treatment. It also reduces the social responsibility on harambes for hospital bills and all of that. So these are some of the things that we are telling Kenyans, listen, let's all collectively come together for the social and economic well-being for the country. So I understand it's tough times, we're not refusing that, but sometimes during tough times, you have to make very hard decisions. We call it, or the wise men say, you can take one step back to take 3 steps forward. And that's exactly what we're doing. Government is taking some tough decisions. We are challenging the status quo, where things have always just been the same and no change, saying, listen, we are going to transform our country, and these are the steps that need to be taken in this transformation model. Right. So we might cry a little bit today. It's like building a road, Michelle. You know, when a road is built being outside your house, there's a little inconvenience. Your car will get a little dusty. There'll be a little traffic jam. But once the road is complete, everybody is happy. So these are just the interventions for our economic transformation agenda. And I can bet you the people who are crying today because of these inconveniences, in 3-4 years, when the benefits begin to show and their children are employed because we've created jobs and infrastructure has been built and we are a healthy nation, everybody will be smiling.
All right. You didn't answer whether this bill would specifically benefit stakeholders in the agriculture and livestock sector. But perhaps on a lighter note, there's been many concerns that the government is looking to tax everything that Kenyans have. So do Kenyans have to worry about the possibility of being taxed for owning chicken, owning cows, taxed for their 10 goats? No. Talk to Kenyans about that.
No chance. I think that is just propaganda. We did have a bill that came out, and it's good that I can clarify here, where we are trying to ensure that we are able to regulate the industry for the benefit of our farmer, right? So we are protecting our farmer against quacks and crooks. Let me tell you, Michelle, today, the conception rate of our cows is almost at 40%. Because we have quacks who are masquerading as animal health assistants, who are going to take defective semen that is probably diluted with water and charging the farmers 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 shillings to inseminate their cow, which never conceives. So we've come up with a veterinary professional and paraprofessionals bill where we are saying, listen, if you're going to be offering services in the veterinary sector and you're a veterinary professional or animal production professional, we need to regulate you. You need to register with us so that you can prove to us your qualifications to be able to offer that service to the farmer so that we don't inconvenience our farmers or we don't, for a lack of a better word, con our farmers. So, if you are selling animal feed, are you licensed to sell animal feed? Do you have the nutritional knowledge to be able to go and advise our farmer for you to be able to increase your productivity of milk from 5 liters to 9 liters? You need this kind of nutrition. That way you have to buy this kind of food. That's what we are trying to curb. So you need to register with us and you pay a small fee to register with us. Then you're in our database. Then we certify you to go out and serve our farmers so that we ensure our farmers are served by professionals who know what they're doing. But when that came out, and of course, like any other law, if you don't register, it's an offense, and you have to pay a fine for committing an offense. So, of course, the propagandists and the naysayers went and said that we have taken a bill where we are telling every farmer that they have to register and pay tax and all of that. No. It's not that. It is the professionals that we are taxing. And I think the same even happened to our colleagues in agriculture, where they said now you have to register to be a farmer and get a license to be a farmer. It's not possible. Okay. Yeah, so it's not government's intention to do any of that. Our job is to be able to protect the farmer and ensure that they're able to produce and they're able to earn a fair wage for their produce.
Okay. As we wind up, there are concerns that certain government regulations may actually be fueling or contributing to incidents of food safety and food contamination in the country. Not very long ago, we saw skirmishes at Bama Market, and meat traders are complaining that there's more taxes levied on selling meat. So when you go, you take a cow to the market, you have to pay separately to sell the head, you have to pay separately to sell the legs, and they say this is way more exorbitant for them. Has this been resolved? Because there are concerns then that if it becomes too expensive for them to sell these products, they will then go back to selling it illegally.
I'm not aware of anything like that, Michelle. This is the first time I'm hearing about it. I know that cess is levied on animals that are sold in the livestock markets. That's done by the counties. I know that the butchers pay a fee to the county governments who own the livestock markets, like Bama Market, like City Market, like Dagoretti slaughterhouses. They pay a fee to the county governments to be able to operate their businesses, which is normal. I know that they pay a fee for meat inspection to ensure that the meat is safe for human consumption, which is normal. I'm not sure about any of these other levies and where the money is going for to sell something differently. I'm not aware, apart from when you are selling to the consumer, where you have to pay VAT, I'm not aware of any other taxes that you really have to pay.
All right. And perhaps let's wind up with the very ambitious plan that you unveiled when you took over this docket. What legacy do you expect to leave?
Really, the legacy that we'd like to leave is to commercialize the entire sector. to ensure that our young people don't have to leave the village to come to the town to look for employment. That all you need is a cow or a goat or some chicken, and you can earn a livelihood, you can take care of your family, and you can educate your children. So we are working on putting farmer-produce organizations into cooperatives. We are working on ensuring that there is an access to market for those cooperatives and that we get off-take agreements so that we link the consumers to the producers. And we are working to make sure through the interventions I told you, the breeding, genetics, the vaccinations, the animal feed, enablers such as livestock identification and traceability, that we are able to ensure that the producers, the farmers, are able to produce quality livestock products in the quantities that are desired for the market consistently. And so that entire model is what we are working for. And once we're able to get that done, we'll have commercialized the entire livestock industry. And Michelle, you will leave the studio to go and keep cattle because it will make you more money.
So how will Kenya celebrate World Food Safety Day today?
We are celebrating World Food Safety Day. We have come together with all stakeholders, with the Ministry of Health, with the Ministry of Blue Economy, who take care of fisheries, with the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Department, and other private sector actors, non-governmental, non-state actors, NGOs, development partners, and we will be celebrating at the Safari Park Hotel, in which I will be joining the team just to sensitize the country and the world on the importance of World Food Safety Day.
Mr. Jonathan Mweke, many thanks for speaking to K24 TV.
You are most welcome.
A dynamic, lively, inspiring and informative program which is hosted by Muyiwa Olarewaju.
God has validated you, has empowered you, and all you have to do is surrender.
It focuses on critical global social